What's happening, guys? Happy Friday and happy fantasy semifinals weekend. And you're listening to Sleep Stream Stash, a podcast focused on all aspects of fantasy football. And my name is Memphis. You can follow me on Twitter, X at DWZ Memphis. And with me, as always, are my co-hosts. I'm going to start with my man on my right, your left, none other than the fantasy Picasso himself, Mr. Johnny Toom. What's going on, Johnny?
Not much, man. Good to be with you guys. Really enjoyed our show this year. And Memphis, you've been a tank all season, bro. You've held it down. You've done a great job hosting. I've got a lot of my friends and family who watch the show who have said they say they don't like Evan, but they really like you. I'm just kidding.
I mean, they're not wrong. And the Evan of which Johnny speaks is the third man in the booth, none other than Mr. Evan Ringler. And before we hit the record button, we were discussing last night's game. Evan, how does it feel to be, one, dodging the weather there in the great Northwest, but also residing there watching the first place in the NFC Seattle Seahawks, buddy?
Insane, man. That game, maybe the best Thursday night game ever. I can't even go and I can't even really talk about it. It was just incredible. The 3 2-point conversions that all went our way. The backwards pass 2-point conversion. Like, what is that? It really felt like Roger Goodell made the call and we were just meant to win that game.
But you would figure it's the Cinderella story, right? Not really Cinderella, but it's like the movie story. LA, home of Hollywood. You got Matt Stafford. How many more does he have left? He's on the pace for his first ever career MVP at 37 years old, came into the season with a bad back. I mean, this is like a Disney movie, right? And so how could you tell me that Goodell, with no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow in the playoffs, we're trending toward no Detroit Lions. You can't tell me that the NFL doesn't want the Rams to be around as long as possible. And let's be honest, we were talking, there's not enough respect being put on the name of the Ginger Jesus, Sam Darnold, but you still don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, well, I thought that for 90% of that game last night, he played like dog shit. He was horrible.
Yeah.
He made like 2 real completions over the first 50 minutes of that game. It was really bad. And he picked it up a little bit at the end. He still didn't have to do a ton. He made several good throws that ended up, pushing us over the top. But still, I don't feel comfortable with him in a playoff scenario at all. I mean, but also, we gave up how many points to the Rams? Like 37. We can't afford to do that with our defense.
Well, I want to get Johnny's take on this game because you're a Seattle Seahawks fan. I'm an unapologetic. I might as well be a member of the Darnold family at this point. But I want to thank ChatGPT real quick because I just threw a quick search. The best Thursday night football games at all time. They have the Miracle in Motown, the one where Aaron Rodgers threw the Hail Mary pass at the end of the game. They have that listed as one. They have the Rams versus the 49ers, 41-39.
Baker Mayfield game? Was that one?
From 2017. No, Baker wasn't. That was his rookie year, I believe, in the land. Another Packers and Lions in 2015, and then a Giants Patriots. But I would say that is easily one of, if not the best. I mean, clearly per ChatGPT search, best one in a decade. It was a great game, and the throw from Baker, that sideline throw at the end of the game, splitting 2 defenders. He makes these mind-boggling, head-scratching interceptions. But when it comes to making a weird throw like that or just an absolute big balls throw, it's somewhere between Brett Favre, Eli Manning, and Patrick Mahomes sometimes. It's just magical. But John, I mean, no, if he could do it consistently, he would be thought of like those guys.
I was with you with Favre and Manning, and then you had to throw in Mahomes.
Well, Mahomes does this weird improvise. Like I retweeted today the throw last year when he was playing against your Seahawks when he split 2 defenders and hit Justin Jefferson for a walk-off. There's a kid, and I do want to hear Johnny, but there's a kid that I coach in baseball. He's an amazingly talented athlete. His name is Gage. And I tell him, Gage, you make the impossible look routine, but you make the routine look hard as fuck. That's Sam Darnold. That is Sam Darnold in
Yeah.
a nutshell. And maybe that's probably why I love him. Johnny, what did you take away from the Seahawks-Rams game last night?
I think as much as the Seahawks was fun, like Puka Nacua is an absolute demon, right? He's got to be in that easy top 3 wide receiver conversation in the NFL right now. And I almost think it's pretty easy to say he's the most dominant receiver. Just the physicality of those hands. So that tough catch on 4th and 5 was absolutely nuts. And then Matthew Stafford, dude, that's the takeaway too. Like I am in a 6-point passing touchdown league. He is second. He's a half point behind Josh Allen as the top scorer in that format. Even in that league is a full point tight end premium. So McBride is third in scoring in that format. But bottom line, if I told you a 38-year-old, quarterback with a bad back at the beginning of the season was going to be your QB, almost a top scorer in fantasy football this year in 6-point passing touchdown format, you wouldn't believe me, right? So I have him and Jackson Smith and Jigba in a lineup that's in the semifinals. So that was a lot of fun, right? JSN's got a bagel going into the half. I'm thinking I'm swimming uphill, and then the game goes into overtime. They both get a nice touchdown in overtime, a passing touchdown from Stafford, a receiving touchdown from JSN. So thank you, JSN, for not dropping a bagel when the world needed you the most. That's my other big piece.
So over at the Dynasty Warzone, my other podcast, we have a patron group, and I was DMing with one of my patrons yesterday, and he was really convinced he should be starting CJ Stroud over Matthew Stafford. And we walked through it together, and I'm like, brother, his name's Daniel. I'm like, Daniel, you got to play Matthew Stafford. And he did. And when he got to like 302, it was like, for me personally, because I talked him into this, there was like relief. And then at the end of the game, I had a nice big thank you message from Daniel when I woke up this morning, because he like 450 and 3, no turnovers. It was beautiful. But listen, we're already starting to get some comments on the YouTube chat. If you have questions, start sits, things you want us to help you with, start firing them in the YouTube comments. We will get there. I do want to play the normal word from our buddy, the Podfather, and then I have something to add right after this.
I know your sad draft season is over, but just because the NFL season starts doesn't mean the drafting stops, because Fast Draft has the Flex 6 Frenzy. You're drafting 6 guys for the Sunday slate. It's fast, it's furious, it's fun, and as with everything on Fast Draft, there are no salaries. Woo! So go to draftfaster.com, get the app, use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
Best promo guy in the business. It's not even close with the Podfather. And there is going to be Flex 6 this weekend. There is going to be Quick 6 this weekend. If you didn't get in the rabbit last week, I'm really sorry about your damn luck. But the reason why I wanted to bring up Origins is, guys, it's right around the corner, is Fast Draft Rookie Origins. The rookie class this year, to me, is not looking great, but it doesn't matter, because Origins is one of the I think it was the flagship. It was the first real big one to blow up last year. Johnny, how excited are you for Rookie Origins this year?
So fun. I mean, it's so cool in hindsight too, doing that and looking back, and my teams aren't where I want them to be. We'll just have to try again in 2026. But that is a challenging contest to pick 6 rookies who are going to produce in 2026 is a guessing game. And so you look at those top scoring lineups, they're going to have Jackson Dart, Emeka Egbuka, Harold Fannin sprinkled in there, some Woody Marks, right? But if you're pulling it's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty looking back 6 months later and seeing some of those teams that people built, and they're like, these guys know ball. Like you don't just luck into getting these guys on your roster, because you just have to do the work on these rookies, right? So one of my favorite drafting formats I've ever played, and I can't wait to try again in 2026.
What about you, Ev?
Well, this whole week I've just been grinding away on the Origins slate of players. And we're going live very, very, very soon. We'll see exactly when that is, but it should be in the next day or two. So we're drafting 2026 rookie drafts before the 2025 season is even over yet. It's pretty cool. Before the college football playoff even starts. It's going to be awesome. We're going from 10-team drafts to 8-team drafts this year. So they're going to fill faster. They're going to draft faster. And last year, I thought one of the issues with it was that it was just a little too deep. Going 6-round, 10-team rookie drafts, it's going to be hard to find 60 relevant players from a rookie class. So this year, we're going down to 48 relevant players. I think that should make it a lot more fun and a lot more fast.
That's what Fast Draft is all about, being fast. You can use the promo code Warzone, all caps, all one word. That gets you that deposit match up to $50. You deposit 50, you get 50. And if you get set up now, you'll be locked and loaded. You don't wait. Don't be this person. Don't be the person who waits until the origin kicks off and then try to figure out. Do it now while it's slow.
Oh, sorry. You want to say something too?
Go ahead.
I will just say, to your point about drafting 60 relevant rookies, if you guys knew who my most rostered player was and the fact that it's Damian Martinez, like, it's a challenge, right? It's tough. We don't know for a fact before the draft where these guys are going to get drafted. In his case, he didn't do terrible at the combine, but I think he had some personal stuff that they might have dug into, the investigators, stuff that I still haven't figured out. But
I think there was some like injury stuff, maybe.
I think it was exactly. An injury. He had a DUI that they dropped the case, but I think that who knows, right? Yeah. But so much Damian Martinez.
Well, we will save the rookie talk because the three of us, this will be one of the last editions of this show, but the three of us are going to do some Dynasty content in the offseason. If anything else, even if you guys don't listen, we don't care. We're just going to give it as an excuse to tell our families that we're hanging out with the three of us. And look for that on the Player Profiler Network this I guess winter into spring. But let's get into the sleepers this week. And Evan, you have the first one. You have a sleeper number one.
Yeah, really quick on Fast Draft, one more thing. We got the Flex 6 Frenzy, the Quick 6 Super Slam, our 2 flagship DFS contests this week. We got Origins launching very soon. And then after that, we got the playoff challenge that's coming as well. So I know there's a lot of people out there that love NFL playoffs fantasy. Check out Fast Draft for that. And then let's get into my sleeper this week, which is Michael Carter. The Cardinals have now lost 3 starting running backs to season-ending injuries this year. Absolutely brutal. And Carter is the next man up. Last week, he completely dominated the backfield usage after Zonovan Knight went out with a 70% carry share and 72% route participation, which added up to over 16 expected fantasy points. There are also some great flashes of efficiency in his profile. He ranks 9th in yards created per touch and 14th in yards per route run. I expect a lot of fantasy points to be scored in this Cardinals-Falcons game. It's got sneaky shootout potential. And I want the starting running back in that game. So give me Michael Carter.
All right, Johnny, what do you think about Michael Carter? I know the matchup against the Dirty Birds there in Atlanta is a good one. What are your thoughts?
I think you've got Amari DiMercado there who's going to eat into some more too, right? I was holding my breath for Corey Kiner from Cincinnati. He's on that roster as their RB3. But I love the call. I think I don't know. This is where I would challenge Evan a bit. Is this guy even a sleeper? Is Audric Estime even a sleeper? We're at this deep and desperate part of the year where people know they got to roll these guys out this weekend, right? But I think to your point, there's probably a lot of managers noodling on the start-sit decision for Michael Carter. And I agree with you. This is a guy you want in your lineups. If, you're on the fence and I'm trying to think of I probably prefer him to Aaron Jones almost because he really is going to be like that 1A lead back and probably even see the goal line work, right? So.
Yeah, I agree. Again, this is one of those games that's going to create champion or semifinals fantasy chaos. 2 teams, nothing to play for in the actual NFL, just guys playing for contracts, extensions, and incentives to make money, and they're going to wind up just absolutely hammering one of us into submission. So, Johnny, did you have the sleeper? Because we may have 3. He's on mute. He's still on mute.
Hey, can you hear me now?
We can hear
Yes.
you
Okay.
now.
We cut it down to one sleeper, one stream, and one stash this week.
Oh,
because
that's right. Because we want to get to
answer
questions.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, because I did want to throw a sleeper out there. I wanted to throw out Isaiah Davis, just real quick. I just wanted to throw out Isaiah Davis. He outproduced in a fantasy point standpoint last week Breece Hall, and the Jets are playing the Bills this week. So a matchup that I think that he could not say take advantage of, but if you're going to try to do anything against the Bills, you got to pound the ball.
The Jets have the Saints, right?
Oh, my apologies. My apologies. I'm looking at the wrong week. That's my bad. All right. Sorry.
Well, not a
Where do you
bad
have
matchup.
Yes, where do you have Isaiah Davis this week?
It's a really tough rank because for the past month before last week, it was Breece Hall, just pure bell cow, like 90% opportunity share. And then all of a sudden last week, Isaiah Davis jumps up to like 40%. So I still have him down around RB 60. You could argue that maybe it should be closer to RB 40. It's a really tough rank just because we don't know what the Jets are going to do there in that backfield.
Fair enough. Well, I do know that I have the streamer, not just the party streamers, but the DFS streamers. I'm going Darren Waller, and I know people are super. I mean, we guys have all done this. This is a thing where we stream quarterbacks in 1QB leagues and seasonal leagues, not so much dynasty, and we chase certain bad teams and pick up the defenses they're going to play. This is as simple that this handicap is as simple as me saying I'm going to chase the team playing the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, while not like legendarily bad against the tight end like the Bengals are, they still weren't very good. And who still got 2 touchdowns last week? Darren Waller. So Darren Waller is going to come back. He's going to continue this pace. And if you're a rookie quarterback, who's the security blanket? It's the tight end. It's the running backs. I don't love the game splits for Achane without Tua. The Tua Achane game splits are very, very concerning. But for me, I'm in a semifinals league. It's in the semifinals of a league, and I traded what is currently the 3-11 in a 14-man league for Darren Waller. That's how much I believe in this matchup this week. So I'm streaming him. You can stream him in DFS. I don't know that you're going to build any stack with Quinn Ewers, but I'm chasing I'm chasing the steam, Johnny.
I love it, dude. Anybody to your point, it's just a smash matchup. I think I would wonder what the salary would be if it was Tua, right? And I'm sure it's lower, and it's a no-brainer. You know, it's the Cincinnati defense against the tight end. You might as well be starting Drake London.
And Evan, I'll get your thoughts as well, but then you also have our stash. Is that correct?
No, Johnny's got the stash.
Yeah.
But I'll just kind of give my thoughts on this Dolphins offense this week with Quinn Ewers. So I ended up dropping Devon Achane from RB2 to RB4. I dropped Waddle from roughly wide receiver 15 to wide receiver 26. And then Waller, he dropped from like tight end 5 to tight end 10. So really all three of them are still starters for me. And it is a really good matchup, obviously. I'm not in love with Quinn Ewers, but against the Bengals, these guys are startable. Maybe not as elite as they would have been with a more experienced quarterback back there, but still very startable in fantasy.
What is it? What is it about Ewers that gives you pause? Is it just because he's a rookie?
Yeah, pretty a 7th round rookie to be specific.
Or is it because he's just Quinn Ewers?
That too. Yeah,
I mean,
all the above.
That doesn't help. What were you going to say, Johnny?
Just, I think the part that probably goes without saying, but Darren Waller was the heart and soul of that offense above Devon Achane last week, right? Two touchdowns. The one thing to nitpick at is the snap share, but the route participation, the targets, the red zone targets, like this is going to be one of the first looks in that offense. You've got Jalen Waddle there and Devon Achane as well, but he's a key part of this offense. And so I think that's something you can feel good about going into this weekend, that, he had been coming off that injury. You wanted to see him get more involved. I was wondering if we were going to see some more Greg Dulcich, but Dulcich, he played a few snaps. Julian Hill got a few targets as well. They'd like to run some of that 13 personnel, which seems like is kind of the fad of the whole league right now. But 13 personnel is not a bad thing for Darren Waller. That means he's definitely going to be out there, right? So I like what I'm seeing from the offense last week. If any of that translates into this next week, we're going to see a lot of Darren Waller as a featured part of the offense.
And I didn't put it on the show sheet, but I grabbed it real quick. Darren Waller, 3,500 on DraftKings. To put that in perspective, Mike Gesicki, 3,600, K. Dotton, 3,400. So if you think you'd rather play Mike Gesicki or K. Dotton over Darren Waller, you're drunk. You're drunk and disorderly, and we got to get you whipped into shape. Johnny, and I should have known this because Johnny is the brains of this operation behind the scenes. He works with Garrett, our wonderful producer, on getting thumbnails and making sure that the show looks like $1 million. So I should have known that this stash was yours, but by all means, fire away.
Yeah, and I almost wanted to put him as a sleeper because I think Woody Marks will play. But if Woody Marks doesn't play, you have to seriously consider Jawhar Jordan in lineups in deeper leagues. If just to give it to you in terms of like if Woody Marks didn't play, I would probably have Jawhar Jordan over guys like Aaron Jones and maybe even DeAndre Swift because Nick Chubb is back and he's a full participant. Well, DeAndre Swift plays Green Bay this weekend, so it's a kind of a tough matchup. I'm nuking him a bit, and Monongai's getting more and more involved there. But that again, usually when I make these calls on these backups, I end up being not high enough, right? And so I'm that's like my conservative estimate. I mean, they gave this guy 15 carries. He had like a 60-yard run, averaged 6.5 yards a carry, and then. That's one thing, but then you hear the raving from the players. His line was saying, I don't know where this guy came from, but he clearly knows how to run outside zone. You've got D'Amico Ryan saying, I love the way he's bouncing off people. He's running hard. He's running fast. He stepped up when his name was called. And there's certain coaches where you can they give away a little bit, right? And I take credence into what D'Amico Ryan says about his players because it usually ends up translating on the field. I think if Woody Marks comes back, he'll probably be relegated to a depth role. But if Woody Marks somehow misses, he missed the first 2 practices this week. He's gotten a limited participation today, I believe, but he's still questionable. Go stash this guy now, Jawhar Jordan. You might want to play him this weekend if you're in a deep enough league. But if he gets a few more opportunities, then he can carve out a role. And the other thing is Woody Marks has been getting dinged up. Every week is leaving the game with some sort of ailment. I see a path there to get this guy. Another thing is, last thing I'll say, deepest league I play in, Dynasty League, like I'm still holding on to Damian Martinez in that league. Jawhar Jordan was available, is my point. This guy was available everywhere. I know he was scooped up in some leagues, but I mean, he's still very widely available. And a guy that I think, again, if Woody Marks is out, this is a guy that should be rostered in almost all Dynasty leagues because you take these opportunities and you never look back sometimes, like Kyle Monongai did, right? So that's my guy, Jawhar Jordan. Can't wait. Looked really good last week, and I think if he gets some opportunity, he's got they've got the Raiders this week, right? And so that's another thing. He could still get some opportunities, even if both those guys are healthy, if this game gets out of hand.
I am going to steal Colin Cowherd's line about Jackson Dart, and Woody Marks spends more time in the tent than an REI salesman. He is in the medical tent all the day, and I like Woody Marks. I think Woody Marks could be a really good player, but he is always injured. And so I mentioned that patron that I convinced to play Matthew Stafford over CJ Stroud. That's why I'm all over this play, because after this game, the Houston Texans have to go to LA to play the Chargers. I'm not saying they're looking past the Raiders, but this is the exact same thing the Seahawks did last week against the Colts. It was a very winnable game for the Seahawks at home. It came down to the wire because that's how the Seahawks like to play football up there, I guess, sometimes. But what did they want to do? Defensive-minded head coach, McDaniels, he was like, we're not letting this get out of hand. We're going to run the ball, keep everybody healthy because the next game matters the most. Because if they do not beat the Chargers, they have no shot at winning that division. And that's what Houston wants to do. So they're going to pound the run. and you don't want to pound the run with Woody Marks. You want Woody Marks to be healthy for the playoffs, whether you win the division or whether you get in as a wild card. So why not run this no-name dude into the ground? Just give him 38 carries against a horrible Raiders defense. Run him. You get up because you know the Raiders can't score. The Houston defense loves cracking people left, right, and center. So just let the defense and this dude do the work. And I'm going to throw it to Evan. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you guys have totally convinced me on this. I was a little dubious just because this backfield split, it's unpredictable as far as we don't know if Woody's going to play. Chubb didn't play last week, but is going to play this week. Dario Gumbawale is always going to be, or at least have a pass catching role there. And then last week, Jawhar got a ton of work, but it was just a really weird game where the Texans had like over 90% win probability 1 minute into the game, literally, and then just carried that the entire way. It was the definition of a blowout from the get-go. So I wasn't 100% sure on the usage, but they have the Raiders this week, so we should probably expect another blowout, for being honest. And Jawhar Jordan obviously showed a lot of juice last week, so I'm all about it as obviously a deeper sleeper.
All right,
Memphis,
yo.
Sorry, just to your point, though, looking ahead, that game is so important. The Chargers versus the Texans, that's not just them trying to make a run at the division. That could be for a wild card spot, right? So that's a big game. And then even there's a whole lot of layers to this. Woody Marks was griping on Instagram about not getting it. They said he could have gone back into the game. There's some layers to this. So he's a guy to just stash into deeper leagues, all I'm saying. And
why would Woody want to go back in that game? It was a blowout, and he's been hurt in every single game. That's insane.
I mean, as a coach, you want players who want to be on the field, who want the rock, who want to contribute. But at the end of the day, it's about the bigger picture. It's not about beating the snot out of a bad team. It's about keeping you healthy, keeping you fresh. Because if giving Woody Marks 6 or 8, 10 touches this game, if at all, keeps him fresh for a very pivotal game the following week, then that's the move, Woody. And as a rookie, he'll figure that out as he moves along with his career. But I love that we've already got a bunch of questions. So let's dive into this, because I love the questions because they're impromptu. And if you want to get yours and you're listening, I see a lot of people watching on Twitter X. Slide over to YouTube, Player Profilers YouTube channel, and drop your question, and we'll try to make time. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this, but how we feeling about playing Shuck over Dak? Am I crazy? I will start. Yes. This is the same. This is the same conversation I had with my buddy Daniel about Matthew Stafford. If you lose your matchup because you didn't play Matthew Stafford, who had 37 touchdowns and is like one of the top 3 fantasy point producing quarterbacks of the year, because he had a bad game against Seattle, I'll sleep just fine. But if you bench Dak and Dak has a big game and Tyler Shuck goes back to Tyler Suck, you will never forgive yourself for playing a rookie, even in a good matchup, against a horrible Jets team. I'm a big start your studs guy. I don't see any reason to not play Dak. So for me, I'm going to go Dak because, I hate to trust the process or my process was right, because sometimes that's bullshit, but not in this case. I'm rolling Dak, and Johnny, I think you agree.
Yeah, I think we all agree. I would actually like to pivot this a little bit to I need your help. I have Tyler Shuck, and it's a Jets matchup who, again, Trevor Lawrence just had like 45 points against them last weekend, right? Or Aaron Rodgers at Detroit. That's where I start I think Dak's a no-brainer. You're starting Dak, but when you start to get in that tier, you start asking questions. And I would love to hear who you guys would start, Tyler Shuck or Aaron Rodgers. Must-win matchup.
I'm going to let Evan go first. So you can answer both for this person, because I can't gauge from the whatever. But Dak or Shuck, and then Shuck or Rodgers?
I like Shuck this week, but liking Shuck means I have him at like quarterback 18. And I don't love Dak this week, but not loving Dak means I have him at quarterback 11. So significantly ahead of Shuck. Just start your studs. It's a simple one. Shuck versus Rodgers is more interesting to me. I have Shuck ranked several spots ahead, actually. It is a great matchup for Rodgers against Detroit. Very high game total. Great environment in a dome. But at the end of the day, I just don't trust Rodgers in fantasy at this point. It's just he's just not good in fantasy. He's like Matthew Stafford before this year, where it was just 14 points per game, 15 points per game. Tyler Shuck, to me, has a little bit more of a floor than Aaron Rodgers. As much as that's kind of weird to say because obviously Rodgers is a better quarterback, but in fantasy, I think Tyler Shuck is the much better option.
I am looking, and I can't go against Aaron Rodgers. Last two games from a fantasy perspective at the Ravens, by the way, against the Ravens, put up 22.5, and against the Dolphins put up 19 in a blowout. And you know what? Both of those games, outdoor games. Do you know how many games Aaron Rodgers has played in Ford Field? You know, this is going to have to be a shootout. No matter if you want to beat the Lions, it's kind of like playing the Bills. You're not going to stop the offense, so you got to score for score.
I don't think they can play that way.
They're going to have to. I don't think Dan Campbell and the offense are really going to give them the option.
I agree. I just think the Lions are going to win easily.
No, I don't think the Lions are going to win easily. I think Aaron will get his. I think Aaron's probably in that like 240-3. And by the way,
I'll give you the last two games have been really good for Rodgers. Should we read the points before that game? 2.7 against Buffalo, 9.4 against Cincinnati, 8.4 against the Chargers.
And kind of stepped up and no, well, I will say you guys aren't making my decision any easier. I had literally been switching them out every single day. I'm like, no, Shuck. I have Shuck in the lineup as of right now. Memphis, you just made a pretty damn compelling case for Rodgers. And again, I think it also goes back to your point about like trust, right? Do you want to trust the rookie in a must-win matchup? Patrick Mahomes got me to the semifinals. I don't have Patrick Mahomes. I have to make, you know what I mean, a big decision this week. So more to come. But okay, we're good. We can keep moving. But thanks for
you just have to start the QB 24 in points per game.
So in 4 games against the Dan Campbell era Lions, Aaron Rodgers in 4 games through, I'm going to round up, 889, 900 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 TDs with a passer rating of 981. So that was 21, 22, and 23. So it's a spot that he knows. Now, ironically, he is 1-3 in 4 starts against the Dan Campbell coached Lions. So if you're looking to put a little bit of cheddar cheese on there, you might want to maybe play the Lions. But I think this is going to be a low-key shootout. And if we get questions about it, I'll throw the other low-key shootout into the conversation. Manuel Zapeta. We play in Reed. That would be Jalen Reed. By the way, for the listeners of this show, fun story. My co-host on the Dynasty Warzone, Jerry, graduated from Michigan State with Jalen Reed, and they walked through the commencement ceremony together. It went from Jaden Reed to Jerry Sinclair. But you play in Jaden Reed over Brian Thomas.
For me, this comes down to whether Christian Watson plays. If Christian Watson is out, then it's going to be Jaden Reed pretty easily for me. If Christian Watson is in, then I have Thomas just above Reed.
What about you, Johnny?
I probably lean Reed because I do just see the way that they use Patrick Surtain in Denver. They do like to shadow him with someone. I know Jacoby's been the more productive wide receiver from slot a lot. So yeah. I personally think that if he's sticking with someone, Patrick Surtain, it's going to be Brian Thomas. He's the athletic guy. He's the downfield threat. And that's kind of what they like to take away with Surtain. So that gives me a lot of pause about Brian Thomas this week. So I'll lean Jaden Reed.
Yeah, this is the game I wanted to talk about because the defense for Jacksonville, and we give Ben Johnson a lot of love, and we should as a rookie head coach. But man, can Liam Cohen get a high five? Can that dude get a pat on the back? Because that offense, since their bye, Trevor Lawrence is like QB3 since their Week 9 bye, since he came back from the Week 9 bye. And speaking of bye, Trevor Lawrence, I think, is a buy in Dynasty. And is there a bigger sell in Dynasty right now than Brian Thomas Jr.? They just extended Jacoby Myers, 3-year deal. And then, Travis Hunter's going to be back.
I think the only sell bigger than Brian Thomas might be Travis Hunter.
Ooh, we can get into that in the offseason in our Dynasty show, but I want to answer the questions because I want to answer a lot of questions. I'm going to lean Reed as well. I think Reed is continuing to get going. He's more involved in the offense. I like Reed a lot as a player, and I have since he was a rookie. But speaking of someone who can't stay out of the medical tent, goodness gracious, super talented guy, a guy that I think could be really – I think he could be – and please don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying he's Amon-Ra St. Brown or Justin Jefferson, but he could play that kind of role for this team. And they could do something like the Lions have done with Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he just can't stay healthy long enough to get that going. I think he's really talented. I want no part of Brian Thomas Jr., although I do think Denver and Jacksonville is going to be a low-key, sneaky shootout, baby. Evan Ingram revenge game. And anything to add there?
People are talking.
Anything to
People
add,
are talking.
Ev?
All I want to add is that I actually put all of Trevor Lawrence's success this year on Jacoby Myers. The splits with him on the field versus off the field are insane. Like, Lawrence is actually the best quarterback in the league with Jacoby Myers on the field.
Well, remember last year, Brian Thomas Jr., the big breakout came with Mac Jones.
Yep.
Maybe it's just Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor Lawrence aren't a thing. Maybe Brian Thomas Jr. owes Trevor Lawrence $50. I don't know.
I actually might want to zag on this. I think Jacoby Myers might be a good thing for Brian Thomas Jr. because now Brian Thomas doesn't have to catch those balls over the middle of the field that he hates catching. Now he can just run deep. And Lawrence is good at throwing the deep ball too.
He does have an underrated, especially an underrated sideline deep ball, which is the one that Brian Thomas would rather catch so he can fall out of bounds as opposed. But then again, with what's been happening with receivers like the Rashee Rice thing, last 2 weeks, Mahomes threw that man a hospital ball.
Yeah,
he absolutely got tuned up. I'm still going to lean Reed, but it's very close. Kevin asked, any Josh Jacobs update? I just pulled up Twitter. It's going to be close. The good thing about the Josh Jacobs thing is that they play on Saturday night. And we went through this earlier in the season. If Josh Jacobs suits up, you play Josh Jacobs. You do not get cute. Do not, whatever. And this is a must-win game. If, for all intents and purposes, if the Packers lose this game to the Bears, they will lose. They will not be able to win this division because of that tie. It puts Green Bay in a really – I expect Josh Jacobs to suit up. And you know what I love about Josh Jacobs is just he's like the most consistent dude ever. He stays healthy most of the time, and he's always going to give you like an RB8 season. Not enough respect on the career of Josh Jacobs. So, Kevin, I would again, good news. They play Saturday night, so you'll be able to make that decision. But you can throw it in the comments if you want. Who would you pivot to, and we can give you who would be your pivot if for some reason he was not to play. So, Kevin, throw that out there. Maracus,
I will say I did. Oh, sorry. I will say on Jacobs real quick. I did read just recently, this is just beat reporters, but he's more doubtful than questionable is the quote, which they don't usually say about him. They're usually like, it's the game time decision, and then he usually plays this. So that being said, Emmanuel Wilson, maybe a sneaky ad in redraft if he's been dropped or any dynasty leagues, because I do think he is kind of plug and play. We've seen what they do when Jacobs doesn't play. It usually means a heavy workload for Wilson.
All right, I got another one pulled up. I'm looking California, but feeling Minnesota. Little Chris Cornell. That's the Soundgarden Chris Cornell, not the audio slave Chris Cornell. But if you know, you know. Smiling down on Seattle fans. Oh, that wasn't a question, but that's a great reference. Here's a good one: Jackson Dart or Bo Nix, Evan.
I got Nix this week. I like the matchup with Jacksonville a lot. And Dart is playing Minnesota, which. It can be sometimes a good matchup for quarterbacks, but it scares me. So I'm going to go with Bo Nix.
What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, no Jonathan Grenard for the Minnesota defense, who, he hadn't had a great season anyways. But I think that, they're waving the white flag a little bit there in Minnesota. I think that's the one thing that makes me think, oh, interesting. But yeah, Nix was on fire last week playing against Green Bay. He's been playing good football. And this is a fun matchup against Jacksonville, who has been playing really good football as well. I want to be a part of the good football game. and go with, I think Nix is a little more polished at this point in his career. Dart's shown a lot of flashes, but is also, hung on to the ball a little bit too long. And he's always, seriously, another guy who's in and out of the game, right? He's not playing safe. And there's a bit of a risk there when you're in the semifinals and you need 20 points from your quarterback.
I'm going to hit you with a couple of things. Bo Nix is kind of like Godfather 3, the line where just when I thought I was out, he pulls me back in. He pulled me back in with a really good game against a really good defense. And I will say this about Jacksonville. It's much easier to pass on Jacksonville than it is to run on Jacksonville. Jacksonville is a low-key, very tough team to run the ball against. Yeah. I will say this, and this is kind of a canned answer. So Jack Anderson, if you're a big underdog, I'm playing Jackson Dart. Because I think the ability for him to rush for 2 touchdowns and maybe throw for another in what will be a meaningless, ugly game against Minnesota. But if you're a slight favorite or a slight dog, I'm going to play Nix. There's the injury factor, and I don't know what Jackson Dart's going to look like against that Brian Flores defense, because he can make even the best of quarterbacks look silly sometimes. And I know what this game means to Jacksonville and the Broncos. So unless you're a huge dog and are looking for a home run play, I'm going to play Bo Nix.
Smart take.
All right. Thank you, sir. Maracas is back. Not only can he quote Chris Cornell songs, he has fantasy football questions. Half point PPR. Start 1 if Josh Jacobs does not play. See, Kevin, this is how you know Maracas 83 is a pro question asker, because this is how you ask a question if you have but that's okay. We're all here to learn. If Jacobs does not play, you playing Jordan Addison, Audric Estime, or I'm assuming Michael Wilson? Is there another Wilson that
It's got to be Emmanuel Wilson.
Emmanuel Wilson. Okay. See, this is too many common last names. Why not just put Smith there? All right, Johnny, you go first.
I think it's no doubt it's Emmanuel Wilson, just like we talked about. If no Josh Jacobs, if you've got Josh Jacobs, then it's Audric Estime, or if Josh Jacobs plays.
And go ahead, Evan. Same.
Definitely Wilson if there's no Jacobs. If Jacobs does play, I would say that Addison is more of a volatile pick. Like if you're an underdog, I would like Addison. But other than that, I would prefer Estime from like a median projection standpoint.
See, I can't risk it. I can't risk thinking I'm getting JJ McCarthy and 9 shows up. Can't do it. Won't do it. So I'm going 100% Wilson. You're never going to get a one. You're never going to get a 1-for-1 replacement with a stud like that. But you are going to get a 1-for-1 with that usage pattern. So I would rank these in a vacuum: Wilson, Addison, Estime if Josh Jacobs doesn't play. And you know that they're going to. And the Bears, although aren't a horrible matchup, they aren't a great matchup either. So I'm going to lean Wilson, but it's not a slam dunk. Kevin's back with another question. There you go, Kevin. Jawan Johnson, which is New Orleans, or Darren Waller. Sir, I'm all in on the Waller Express this week. I'm very curious of Quinn Ewers, and then I have another thing that I want to bounce off of you guys. But I'll go to you, Evan. Jawan or Darren?
I have these dudes separated by 0.03 points in our median projections this week.
Dude.
But I'm gonna go with Darren Waller. You convinced me with your argument earlier. At the end of the day, whatever tight end is facing the Cincinnati Bengals is like the tight end 2 on the season. So I'm just going to rely on that as opposed to Juwan catching balls from Tyler Shuck.
All right. Same with you, Johnny? All right.
I'm going to go with Darren Waller as well. I was thinking about how Juwan Johnson had a little bit of a run with Shook when he first started, but it looks like 8 points, 7.7 points. I think what we're starting to see is Shook being a little more willing to look elsewhere than the safety blanket. So, yeah, go Darren Waller against that Cincinnati defense. And
so I saw someone post this on Twitter. They were like, why are the Dolphins playing Quinn Ewers instead of Zach Wilson? And Zach Wilson is a pending free agent. So there is nothing to glean from spending the last 3 games observing Zach Wilson.
Good point.
And Quinn Ewers is a rookie on a 7th round contract.
Yeah.
And-
No,
and-
this seems super obvious. Like
yeah,
one guy we've seen plenty of Zach Wilson.
Well, Zach Wilson from a dynasty standpoint is one of my absolute favorite buys right now, because just like Baker, just like Sam Darnold, just like Daniel Jones. Where was Daniel Jones this time last year? He was backing up Sam Darnold in Minnesota, and he came out of nowhere. You know what Zach Wilson cost you in dynasty? He's free 99. Nobody wants jack and or shit, and you can use this news to say, dude, if he was worth something, he'd be starting this week, because most people don't pay attention like we pay attention, because someone and not only that, it's a bad free agent quarterback market, and it's a bad rookie quarterback class. Someone's going to look at Zach Wilson and say, hey, can we make him Daniel Jones? Can we make him Sam Darnold? And it's not like he hasn't had the talent, and he was a Jet too. I'm not guaranteeing you those type of results, but those are the kind of like freebies that I pick up in dynasty, because if I get anything out of them, it's just free points, because it costs you next to nothing, absolutely nothing. What do you think, Johnny? Am I crazy?
A little bit, but no, it's good. I think the one pushback I would have is like those guys you mentioned showed a little more than Zach Wilson, right? Like
Did Sam Darnold really show more than Zach Wilson?
Like a little bit. Sometimes.
And I'm Sam Darnold's biggest fan.
What about
No,
that
but he
Zach Wilson
did.
game
There were
versus the Chiefs
flashes.
a couple of years ago?
Yeah, there were flashes, and like it's like I can't think. I know Zach Wilson had like one good game in his career. Like
All
literally.
right, well, we could talk about my
that
love of
prime time game versus the Chiefs. He was actually really good.
I want Zach Wilson to get signed in Minnesota. I want Zach Wilson to get signed in Minnesota so him and JJ McCarthy could do like a version of Step Brothers. Be fantastic. It would be NFL gold. Can we get that on Hard Knocks? All right. Swift, Vidal, Watson, Coker, Wandale. You guys rock. He needs one wide receiver, one running back. I'm going DeAndre Swift. I could not be more thrilled about what Ben Johnson has done with the running game in Chicago. I know Johnny's guy, Manungai, has been doing good things. And I'm not going away from Wandale Robinson. Wandale Robinson currently, as we speak, I'm going to validate this real quick. I believe that man is a wide receiver 1 on the season. That is correct. That man is the wide receiver 10 on the season, and he's done it with Russell Wilson. He's done it with Dart. He's done it with famous Jameis. You can't not play Wandale Robinson right now. So for me, I'm just going to – I like the upside of guys like Watson and Vidal, but I'm going Taylor Swift and Wandale Robinson, Johnny.
I'm just looking at Wandale. It's got to be something damn near averaging over 10 targets a game the past 6 weeks. There's no doubt, right? That's the volume you're looking for. It's Wandale receiver, and it's DeAndre Swift at running back. I think this is like, for me, it's good to get this validation, but you should feel super like not even a decision. You put those guys in and you live with the results. Those other guys that you have listed are all fine. But I like Swift and I like Wandale a lot more.
Johnny, anything? I'm assuming Evan, anything to push back?
Not at all. This one's really easy for me. Wandale and Swift.
This one's easy for me too. Aronde Gadsden or Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland, it's pretty much a smash. Cole Kmet is highly questionable. I don't think he's been ruled out yet, but very questionable.
With Odunze and Burden out.
Yeah, and so and there was this big debate earlier in the season, Warren or Loveland. I can tell you right now, it's not much of a debate. I think long term, it's like, what kind of ice cream do you like? Do you like chocolate or vanilla? Loveland, they're both good. Loveland and Warren are both going to be good long term. But this weekend, when you need to win, Jack, 100% Colston Loveland. Any pushback? No,
it's honestly not close for me. I currently have Loveland at tight end 7. I'm probably going to move him up to like tight end 5, tight end 4 this week. He's just in a smash spot. In Gadsden, I have down all the way at tight end 21. He's just been unplayable basically since Joe Alt went out. That whole passing offense, you just can't trust it.
Anything, Johnny?
Yep.
All right. But by the way, real quick,
the words out of
go ahead. Real quick, where does Wandale Robinson rank on the seasons amongst all pass catchers? That's wide receivers and tight end. Where does he rank in targets, Evan?
I'll say 7th.
That's exactly right. 120 targets on the season, the same as George Pickens.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Great bar bet. If you want to win a beer tonight or maybe a nice drink, just bet someone at the bar. Hey, I'll bet you Wan'Dale Robinson's top 10 in the NFL in targets right now. And someone who thinks they really know the NFL will tell you that you are smoking crack, and you were like, I'll bet you beer on it. Pull up ESPN.com and enjoy that Budweiser courtesy of the boys here at Sleepstream Stash.
Top 10 in total fantasy points. Top 15 in points per game, too.
And is there a cheaper wide receiver 2 in Dynasty prices that are going to give you wide receiver 1 points?
Yeah, he's
free. And he's not going anywhere. And you know, his he won't be impacted that much by the return of Malik Neighbors. Anyway, Rob, Ted McMillan, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Emeka Ibuka, or Michael Carter in my flex. That is that's a very impressive lineup.
Yeah, these are tough.
I'm gonna go Mike Evans real quick because I think Mike Evans. It's for me. It's Mike Evans. It's Mike Evans or it's Tet. But I'm going Mike Evans. I want the grizzled veteran when it matters the most, and I like Ibuka quite a bit in Dynasty, and I like Chris Godwin. But when Mike Evans in this time of the year, easy Mike Evans for me, Evan.
Yeah, for me, how I look at this is I'm ruling out Ibuka automatically. I'm ruling out McLaurin automatically. I'm just not interested in those guys really this week. Ted McMillan, he's been pretty cold recently, so it comes down to Evans or Carter for me, and I have Evans slightly ahead. Although you got to keep an eye on them injury reports because Evans is questionable, I believe.
Yeah, Mike Evans is playing. This game is essentially for the NFC South, and Mike Evans.
Evans versus Carolina, it just feels like a 3-touchdown Evans game.
It feels like this is the thing that fantasy legends are made of. And you know what's funny is when we did the rookie evaluations this past year, I don't think there were 1-for-1 comparison, but I think in fantasy, Ted McMillan long term will win like Mike Evans, big body guy who doesn't need a lot of targets, but will do a lot with the targets he gets. I'm not gonna lean on the rookie yet, but man, I love that you have this team. And Rob, more importantly, I hope this is a dynasty roster because brother, if you got Ibuka and McMillan long term. You know, maybe one more good year out of Evans and a couple of good years out of McLaurin, buddy, you should be in great shape for a while. Johnny, anything to
add? Mike Evans, 12 targets on 55% snaps last week. Like, did you guys watch that game? Because he was the star, and like, I mean, he is like, I don't know. I probably have him way higher than consensus. Is my point. And let's take a second to talk about that trade you made. Memphis, just because you just put chips in, get this guy to make a championship run. And I loved it because you're getting him at a discount. He's an older guy, but if you need to win the next 2 weeks, Mike Evans.
Yeah, I'll talk about the trade real quick. I made it with Jax Falcone from the Undroppables, and this is a trade that I wouldn't have made in October, but I'll 100% make it now. The two big names in the trade is I sent JJ with Justin Jefferson, and I got Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I also got Mike Evans, and I got Rachaad White, and a 27 third. And I sent Justin Jefferson a 26 first, and I was adamant about it being a 26 first because at a minimum it's 111. And if I get lucky, it could be 114 and a 27 second. I look at it this way. I gave him the first for Evans, Rachaad White, and a 27 third for a first. Because when I tell people I'm buying Rachaad White because he's going to be a free agent running back, he'll get out from behind Bucky, and there's a lot of lottery ticket land. I won't play him this week,
right?
But he's a lottery ticket piece on a dynasty roster that if he lands in a good spot in 3 months from now when we're doing free agency, he's going to be worth a lot more. I know the big landing spot will be like Kansas City, but if Rachaad White were to land in Kansas City, what's his dynasty value do? To the moon.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit, and then I know what Mike Evans is going to do. I probably get him this year, maybe one more. But I love Justin Jefferson, and both him and Amon-Ra are 26 years old. But I know I get Justin Jefferson and I get JJ McCarthy, or I can go try to win this championship and I can get Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I know he's got Jared Goff. And regardless of the OC, dude's going to get his. He's going to play in a dome. And currently, right now, with JJ McCarthy, Justin Jefferson is scoring single point PPR points a game, sub 10 points a game. I can't do that in the finals. So did I give up a little bit? And the last thing I'll add, it's not a great rookie class. It's not a great rookie class when you play super
Right.
flex tight end premium. So I'll gladly roll with the guys that I got and go try to win a championship, Johnny. But yeah, dude, I believe in this Evans matchup. And this is how you know a trade's good. I did it against Shane Manella. Shane hosts Dynasty and Chill. He works with Ray Garvin's network. When your opponent tweets that he does not like your trade because you're playing him, it probably tells you it was a pretty good trade. And Johnny, what I always say, you got to lose trades to win leagues, my guy.
Dude, I love it, bro. That
Absolutely.
was like golf clap, bro. It was fun to see on Twitter. It was fun to see it catching steam. And nobody like roasted you in the chat for getting rid of JJ, right? Like,
I got roasted by some people. I got roasted by people who didn't look at who don't understand the context.
Right.
If you just see it's a 20, but you have to, it's that second order thinking. Well, if he made that trade now, he must be still in the playoffs. If he's still in the playoffs and it's a 12-team league, but it's not, it's a 14-team league, that pick must be at least the 109. When in all actuality, it's at least the 111. And go back and look at the history of rookie picks at the 111. I'd say you're maybe 40% success rate. There's a lot of Darrell Hendersons being drafted at 111. If you know, you know. Let's blast through a couple of more of these because I've got a heart out. Uncle Rico Dowdle or RJ Harvey.
It's not a great matchup for Harvey this week, but I still think you have to start him.
I'm Harvey.
Yeah.
Team Harvey.
Harvey
I
on
will
that.
watch the injury report because he banged up the ribs. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but I think he'll give her a go. I love Franz. Franz is a great supporter of all things player profiler. Would you go Debo, Michael Carter, or Hubbard? I'm going Michael Carter.
Carter pretty easy for me.
Carter pretty easy.
Yep.
All right, got another. Start 3 wide receivers: Brian Thomas Jr., Tet McMillan, Egbuka, Addison, Pearsall. McMillan's a lock.
Scoring.
Ooh.
That's very
Then you
interesting.
got to go Addison. I think you got to put Addison in there for sure in standard scoring because he's likely to catch that big bomb and not get fed volume.
It's got to be BTJ, McMillan, and Pearsall, or Addison for me. Pearsall, I don't think is going to play, and then Egbuka has just been too tough to trust.
Yeah, I'm with Johnny on that.
I'm with Johnny as well.
I think
BTJ.
McMillan's obvious.
Yep.
And then BTJ and Addison.
Because I see the 49ers getting up on the Colts and just pounding them with like Brian Robinson because they've got a big showdown in week 17 against the Seahawks. So they're just trying to get safely to that matchup. So yeah, BTJ, McMillan, Addison, final answer. Unprepared for defense special teams, Packers and Bears, Giants, Vikings, or Niners, Colts.
I have Giants against McCarthy.
Yeah.
But 49ers versus Phillip Rivers is obviously defensible too.
It would be. And as much as I love the Colts and as much as I love Uncle Phil, Dad Bod himself, the film's out there. And you give a sharp defensive coordinator like Robert Saleh a week to examine that, even with a banged up secondary, it's not going to be a good thing this week for Uncle Phil. So it'll continue to be a lot of short, quick passes. And it's a cool story though. And by the way, that one game, it held his Hall of Fame aspirations back 5 years, but it bought his family 5 more years of medical insurance on the NFL.
It's a good trade,
right.
especially when you have 12 kids.
Hey, look, dude, Uncle Phil gets after it.
Too.
Hey, he gets after it.
You got grandkids, dude.
Monangai or Coker?
This one's Monangai,
Monangai.
pretty easy for me.
Yeah, pretty simple. Pretty simple, yeah. McLaurin gets moved away from Mitchell enough to have a good day.
Oh, Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, McLaurin has like such a streaky history with Philadelphia. The only upside is that I like Terry McLaurin so much. He was one of my first big hits when I started doing Dynasty. Like I was all over him that year, but I just hate the fact that he's over here playing with, Marcus Mariota. If it was Jaden Daniels, it's a different conversation. And so we're going to go to a different conversation. Xavier Worthy or Jalen Waddle? Ugh. I'm going Jalen Waddle by a tick.
Yeah, I'm going Waddle. Even though Rice is out, I don't really think that changes Worthy's outlook a ton. The Chiefs have so many injuries this week. I think they're going to lose to the Titans personally. I'd rather have Waddle, who is clearly the wide receiver one in Miami.
Yeah, I'm looking at it's going to be a lot of Travis Kelce this week. I forget he needs like a couple of 100 yards. I think he needs 199 yards over these last 3 games to move into second place all time on the tight end wide receiver yardage list. And I think that's something that he's going to want to get. And I think that's something that Andy Reid and the organization, because he can't come back next year. He can be in the NFL, but the Chiefs are over the cap $33 million. And Travis Kelce's a free agent. He doesn't have a contract. They can't afford to sign him. They can't rework him. By the way,
he's done.
He's done. So let's get him this record and get him the hell out of here. I don't feel too bad for him. He's marrying a woman worth billions. He'll be okay. He'll be okay. Last one, and then I got to go. Lamar or Knicks? This one's a little bit Lamar. Okay, Johnny. Anything for you? Evan was pretty much a slam dunk.
I'm gonna go Knicks.
Yeah, I'm going to go Knicks too. I understand. This is one where
what happened to start your studs? Damn,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Lamar hasn't been a stud, dude. That's the thing.
I think Lamar is more hurt. I think Lamar is more hurt than we understand, and I do understand this is a must-win game. But I know Mike Vrabel, and Mike Vrabel is like, you know what, Derrick Henry, you beat me. Because I'm not letting Lamar beat me. He'll keep Lamar pinned in. I think this season, even though he's not played well, I think this is the most respect, not as a fantasy player, but as an actual player, that I have the most respect for Lamar Jackson. I think he's truly playing through one. I don't think he's ever been correct since that injury that he suffered back in like week 5, 6. And I think he's playing on one leg. Like someone said the other day, do you know it's been like 5 games since you've had a rush over 20 yards? Dude had no clue. And that's not Lamar Jackson. He's not doing it because of anything else. I'm leaning Knicks here, and I have to. I think this is going to be a high scoring game. So, but you're right in principle. If both guys were 100% healthy, in my opinion, Evan, I'd be right there with you, man.
Oh, one more thing. I just think that this Patriots defense is falling apart at the seams. It's been horrible over the past month. So I just want to start all my Ravens this week. I'm expecting a big game from them, but we'll see how it goes. 2 out of 3 say Knicks, so go with Knicks.
16 points in one of the last 6 games, or 16 or more fantasy points in one of the last 6 games for Lamar Jackson. 3 out of 5 games, last 5 games, less than 7 fantasy points. Like it's just not the Lamar we know and love. So it's
going to be this week though.
It's start a brutal matchup.
All right, guys. Well, I got to get out of here. So, and we got through every question, by the way. We got through every single question, right? Just over an hour. We wish you all the best. We'll have to figure out what next week looks like because they may have to patch me in from vacation. I will be out of town, but hopefully Johnny and Evan can get together and do a show. Maybe you guys could like rope in like a Matty Kiwoom or someone to jump in here and throw us some love. But yep, we're out of here. Good luck this weekend, and we'll be back next week. Maybe 2 of us, 3 of us. Yeah, you never know. We'll see you guys.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.